we seeing these effects there as well? Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Um, well, I don't want to jump ahead and make assumptions, but I'll be shocked if you don't see something. Um, okay. Well, yeah, that's all interesting slash frightening stuff. Um, so the idea here is glyphosate can in fact be metabolized perhaps by our gut microbes. This metabolite AMPA is itself toxic. You found that persisting in the brains of mice. Pretty good chance that's happening in humans as well. If it persists in the brain, that means that the brain has no endogenous way of getting it out of there that works very well. Is there any way to obviously, you can reduce exposure to glyphosate by avoiding things that are likely to have it. Is there anything known about how to lower, say, glyphosate that's in the body? Is there anything that leaches it out of your blood? Do we know anything there about how people can maybe reduce what's inside of them already?
Yeah, that's something that our collaborator at TGen here in Arizona is trying to look at. He's trying to look at whether there's ways to potentially tag it and just, you know, allow it to actually be removed. But once again, as I said, glyphosate isn't really, I mean, glyphosate is ultimately what we are consuming and what's causing the AMPA. But really the question that we're going to ask next and we're trying to investigate is how do we actually remove the AMPA? Because that's
Yeah.
what we're seeing, that's present throughout this what we call recovery period where the animals were not exposed to any glyphosate. So we're trying to work with many brilliant chemists and biochemists because it is an area that they have better expertise in than I do, and we bring in the cell biology component. But that is definitely something that we're trying to see. One, why is it that the AMPA was not able to be removed from the brain? And two, are there ways that we can actually allow that to occur? So it's in the beginning phases, and I would say stay tuned because
Yeah.
sure, hopefully we'll have something
Mhm.
that allows us to test that. Yeah.
And what can you tell us about how to minimize exposure? Is it true that if produce say is organic that it is likely going to have much lower levels of glyphosate on it? How do people find things that are less likely to have glyphosate?
Yeah, typically organic foods are going to use less of the herbicides and pesticides, right? So typically you do find individuals that eat full organic diets have lower levels. Although I do want to warn that there is evidence that some individuals still use aspects of glyphosate even for organic farms, et cetera, right? But typically that's one way in terms of, really moving towards a organic diet. Although that brings in a very complicated component, excuse me, and that is, organic diets aren't cheap, right? And who is going to have access to this? It's complicated, right? I will say the least, because most of the individuals that read our work and ask the question say, well, if we can't use glyphosate, what are we going to do with unwanted weeds, and how are we going to get products to the consumer that's going to be affordable? So it's a very complex problem. It's not just about let's reduce glyphosate, but how do we also make it affordable for everyone to be able to eat? Yeah.
Yeah.